Chapter 1. The Strange Baby. In the year 1860, Mr. Roger Button was very happy. His wife was going to have a baby. It was their first child. Mr. Button wanted a boy. He wanted his son to go to a big school one day. He was very excited. He also felt nervous. The baby was going to be born in a hospital. This was new for Mr. Button. Many people had babies at home in those days. One morning in September, Mr. Button woke up early. He put on his best clothes. Then he walked quickly to the hospital. When he was near the hospital, he saw Dr. Keene. The doctor looked angry. "Dr. Keene," Mr. Button called, "how is my wife? Is the baby okay?" The doctor looked at him. His face was not happy. "Talk to me," said Mr. Button. "Is it a boy or a girl?" Dr. Keene said, "Go and look for yourself." "Is something wrong?" asked Mr. Button. "Yes," said the doctor. "Go and see. I can't help you now. I don't want to work with your family again." Then the doctor walked away. Mr. Button felt scared. He did not know what was happening. He slowly walked into the hospital. Inside, a young nurse sat at a desk. "Good morning," Mr. Button said. "I want to see my baby." The nurse looked afraid. She stood up quickly. "Go upstairs," she said, "right now." Mr. Button walked up the stairs. He was very nervous. He was shaking. He was holding a small bowl for the baby. On the next floor, he saw another nurse. "I am Mr. Button," he said. "I want to see my baby." The nurse looked scared. The bowl fell from Mr. Button's hands. It made a loud sound on the floor. "I want to see my baby," he shouted. "Come with me," the nurse said. They walked to a room. Many babies were crying inside. "This is the crying room," the nurse said. Mr. Button looked around. "Which baby is mine?" he asked. The nurse pointed to one crib. Mr. Button looked at the baby. He was shocked. He saw a very old man in the crib. The old man had white hair and a long beard. His face looked tired. "Am I going crazy?" said Mr. Button. "That is your child," said the nurse. Mr. Button looked again. The baby looked 70 years old. The old baby looked at him. "Are you my father?" he asked in a soft voice. Mr. Button and the nurse were very surprised. "I want to leave this room," said the old baby. "Can I have a chair?" Mr. Button said, "Who are you?" "I don't know my first name," said the old man, "but my last name is Button. I was born today." "This is not real," said Mr. Button. "It is real," said the nurse. "This is your child. You must take him home." Mr. Button said, "Take him home?" "Really?" "Yes," said the nurse. "He cannot stay here." The old baby said, "Good. This place is too loud. I want to sleep, and I want some food." Mr. Button sat down. He put his face in his hands. "What will people say?" he said. "What should I do?" "You must take him home," said the nurse. "Now." Mr. Button felt very sad. He imagined walking in the street with this strange baby. "I can't do it," he said. "Be strong," said the nurse. The old baby said, "I will not walk home in this baby blanket." "Babies wear blankets," said the nurse. "This baby will not," said the old man. "It is too small. It hurts." Mr. Button looked worried. "What can I do?" he asked. "Buy him some clothes," said the nurse. Mr. Button ran out the door. The old baby called behind him, "And buy me a cane, father." Chapter 2. Buying clothes for the baby. Mr. Button walked into a clothes store. He looked nervous. "Good morning," he said to the shop worker. "I want to buy some clothes for my child." "How old is your child?" the worker asked. Mr. Button thought for a second. "About 6 hours," he said. "Then go to the baby clothes section," the worker said. Mr. Button shook his head. "No, he is very big. Bigger than normal." "Then go to the biggest child size," the worker said. "Where is the boys section?" asked Mr. Button. "Right here," said the worker. Mr. Button didn't want to buy adult clothes for a baby, but there were no baby clothes big enough for his strange son. He looked at many clothes but didn't find anything right. "How old did you say your boy is?" the worker asked again. "He's 16, Mr. Button lied. "Oh, I thought you said 6 hours," said the worker. "Go to the next section." Mr. Button turned around. He was sad. Then he saw a suit on a dummy in the window. "I'll take that suit," he said. The worker was surprised. "That's not a child's suit. It's for parties." "I don't care," said Mr. Button. "Wrap it up." The worker gave him the suit. Mr. Button went back to the hospital. He gave the clothes to his son. "Here's your clothes," he said. The old baby opened the package and looked at the clothes. "They look strange," he said. "I don't want to look silly." Mr. Button became angry. "Just wear them. I don't care how you look. Put them on, or I will." "All right, father," the baby said. "You are older. You know best." When the baby said, "Father," Mr. Button felt strange. "Hurry up," Mr. Button said. "I'm going fast, father," said the baby. After the baby got dressed, Mr. Button looked at him. He wore pink pants, dotted socks, and a shirt with a big white collar. His long beard was still there. "Wait," said Mr. Button. He took scissors and cut part of the beard, but the baby still looked very old. Mr. Button gave him his hand. "Come on," he said. The baby took his hand. "What will you call me, Dad?" "Maybe just Baby for now." Mr. Button was angry. "I don't know," he said. "I think we'll call you Methuselah." Chapter 3. Benjamin tries to be a baby. Mr. Button cut Benjamin's hair short. He dyed it black. He shaved Benjamin's face. He put baby clothes on him. But Benjamin still looked very old. The nurse came to help. She saw Benjamin and left the house. She never came back. Mr. Button did not give up. He said Benjamin is a baby. He must live like a baby. At first, he only gave Benjamin warm milk. But Benjamin did not like it. So Mr. Button gave him bread, butter, and oatmeal. One day, Mr. Button brought a baby toy called a rattle. "Play with it," he said. Benjamin took the rattle and moved it a little. The sound was soft. But he looked bored. He did not like baby toys. He liked to be alone. Mr. Button once found him smoking a cigar. Mr. Button wanted to punish him but could not do it. Mr. Button brought more toys, small soldiers, toy trains, and soft animals. But Benjamin was not interested. He wanted books. He read big books for many hours. People in the town talked about the strange baby. Some people said, "He looks like his grandfather." Mr. and Mrs. Button were not happy about that. Benjamin stayed home. Mr. Button brought other boys to play with him, but Benjamin did not enjoy it. He broke things. He broke a window with a stone. Mr. Button was secretly happy about this. Benjamin's grandfather did not like him at first, but later they became good friends. They talked a lot. Benjamin liked being with his grandfather more than with his parents. Benjamin was still confused. "Why do I look so old?" he asked himself. He read medical books but found no answers. His father told him, "Try to play football." But Benjamin did not like it. "It shakes my body," he said. "I'm afraid I will break my bones." At age 5, Benjamin went to kindergarten. He had to cut paper and make crafts, but he often fell asleep in class. The teacher told his parents, "He is too old for this." So he left school. By age 12, his parents stopped thinking he was strange. But then something new happened. Benjamin looked in the mirror and thought, "My hair is less white. My skin looks better. Am I getting younger?" He went to his father and said, "I am big now. I want to wear long trousers." His father said, "You are only 12. Boys wear long trousers at 14. But I look older than 12, said Benjamin. His father looked at him and said, "Maybe you're right. I was your size when I was 12. So they agreed. Benjamin could wear long trousers, but he had to dye his hair and stop using a walking cane. He also had to stop wearing glasses. Chapter 4. College Problems. Benjamin grew older in years, but he looked younger. When he was 18 years old, he looked like a strong man of 50. His hair was dark grey. He stood tall and spoke clearly. His father said, "You are ready for college." So Benjamin went to Yale College to take the entrance test. He passed. He became a freshman student. 3 days later, he got a letter from the college office. He had to visit Mr. Hart, the registrar. Benjamin wanted to look young, so he tried to dye his hair. But he had no more hair dye. He had thrown it away the day before. He had to go without it. At the office, Mr. Hart smiled. "Good morning. Are you here about your son?" he asked. "No," said Benjamin. "I am Mr. Button. I'm the freshman." "What?" Mr. Hart said in shock. "I'm the freshman," Benjamin said again. "You must be joking." "No, I'm not." Mr. Hart looked at a paper. "It says here you are 18. "That's right," said Benjamin. Mr. Hart looked at him for a moment. "Mr. Button, I don't believe you." "I am 18, Benjamin said softly. "Get out," Mr. Hart shouted. "You are too old. You are not a real student. Leave this college right now." Benjamin stood up straight. "I am 18 years old," he said again. He walked out of the office. Some college students in the hallway looked at him and followed him. Benjamin turned back and said loudly, "I am 18 years old." The students laughed. Benjamin walked to the train station. More students followed him. They laughed and made jokes. "He looks like an old man. Is he lost? Go to Harvard?" Everyone thought he was crazy. People ran out of classrooms to see him. Benjamin walked faster. Then he ran. He was angry and sad. On the train back to Baltimore, he looked out the window and shouted, "You will regret this." The students laughed more. They said, "Ha ha! That was the biggest mistake Yale ever made." Chapter 5. First Love. In the year 1880, Benjamin Button was 20 years old. He started working with his father at Roger Button and Company, a hardware business. His father also took him to many dances. Now Benjamin looked younger. He had more hair. He walked straight and strong. People thought he and his father were brothers. One evening, Benjamin and his father wore nice suits and rode to a big house near Baltimore. There was a party and many people were dancing. The sky was bright and the moon was full. Roger Button said, "There's a good future in business." Benjamin smiled. His father added, "I'm old and can't learn new things, but you are young and full of energy." Soon they arrived at the house. Lights were shining, music was playing. Many people stood outside. Then Benjamin saw a young woman. She was beautiful. Her name was Hildegard Moncrief. Benjamin looked at her and felt strange. His heart beat fast. His cheeks turned red. It was his first love. Roger whispered, "That's Hildegard. She is the daughter of General Moncrief." Benjamin said, "She's very pretty. Can you introduce me?" Later, Benjamin and his father met Hildegard. She bowed politely. Benjamin said hello but felt nervous. He waited for his turn to dance. Many young men were near her. Benjamin did not like them. He thought, "They are silly and loud." When it was finally his turn, he danced with Hildegard. He forgot all his fear. He was happy. "You and your brother came with us, right?" Hildegard asked, looking up at him. Benjamin paused. He wanted to say, "He's my father." But he remembered Yale. People didn't believe his real age, so he stayed quiet. Hildegard smiled. "I like men of your age," she said. "Young boys are foolish. They waste money, but older men are smart and kind." Benjamin wanted to ask her to marry him, but he waited. "You're just the perfect age," she said. "Not too young, not too old. I love 50-year-old men." Benjamin thought, 50 is a great age. I want to be 50. Then she said, "I always said I'd rather marry a 50-year-old man who cares for me than a young man I must care for." They danced again. They talked a lot. They agreed to meet again on Sunday and take a drive. Later that night, Benjamin and his father rode home in their carriage. It was almost morning. Roger was talking about business. "After hammers and nails," he said, "what is most important in life?" Benjamin said softly, "Love." Roger laughed. "Love?" "I was talking about lugs." Benjamin didn't answer. He looked at the sky. The sun was rising. Chapter 6. The Mystery Man. 6 months later, something big happened. Benjamin Button and Hildegard Moncrief got engaged. They were going to get married. Hildegard's father, General Moncrief, was very angry. He said, "I would rather die than agree to this." People in Baltimore were surprised. The news spread quickly. Old stories about Benjamin came back. Some people said strange things. Benjamin is not the son. He is the father. He is really Roger Button's brother who was in jail. He is wearing a disguise. He has horns on his head. The newspapers in New York even made funny drawings of Benjamin. One paper called him the Mystery Man of Maryland. But not many people read it. Some people were angry. They said, "This is wrong. A young girl should not marry an old man." Mr. Button tried to stop the lies. He showed Benjamin's real birth certificate in the local newspaper. It said Benjamin was young, but no one believed it. They only saw his old face. Still, Benjamin and Hildegard were happy. They did not listen to the gossip. General Moncrief begged his daughter not to marry Benjamin. He said, "Men who look 50 often die soon." But Hildegard did not care. She said, "I want a man who is kind and calm." And so, she married Benjamin. Chapter 7. Growing Younger. After Benjamin and Hildegard got married, the family business became very successful. The hardware company made more money. People said this was because Benjamin was full of energy and new ideas. Even General Moncrief, Hildegard's father, became friendly with Benjamin. He was happy when Benjamin helped him publish his book about the Civil War. In the next 15 years, Benjamin changed a lot. He felt younger and stronger. He walked happily in the sunshine and worked hard at the business. In 1890, he had a big idea for the company. He suggested a new law about nails. This idea helped the business very much. Benjamin also started to enjoy life more. He bought a car, the first man in Baltimore to do so. People on the street looked at him and said, "He looks younger every year." Even his father, now 65 years old, started to show respect to Benjamin. But not everything was good. Benjamin had one problem: his wife. She was now 35 years old, and they had a 14-year-old son named Roscoe. When they were first married, Benjamin loved Hildegard. But now things had changed. Her face and eyes looked dull. She did not want fun or new things. She was too calm and serious. Before, she used to take Benjamin to parties. Now Benjamin wanted to go out, but she stayed home. Benjamin felt sad and bored. He wanted change. In 1898, when war started between Spain and America, he joined the army. Thanks to his strong body and good name, Benjamin quickly became a captain. Later, he became a major, and then a lieutenant colonel. He even won a medal. Benjamin loved army life. He liked the action and the adventure. But later, he returned home to work again. A band met him at the station and played music for him. Chapter 8. Growing Apart. When Benjamin came home from the war, Hildegard met him with a flag. She smiled, but Benjamin felt sad. Hildegard was now 40 years old, and she looked older. She had grey hairs in her head. Benjamin went to his room and looked in the mirror. He looked younger than before. He looked like a man of 30. This made him afraid. He thought, "I'm still getting younger." He went downstairs. Hildegard looked annoyed. At dinner, he tried to talk about it. He said, "Everyone says I look younger." Hildegard said coldly, "Is that something to be proud of?" "I'm not trying to brag," said Benjamin. She replied, "You should stop this. It's strange." "I can't help it," he said. "Yes, you can. You always want to be different. Why can't you just be like other people?" Benjamin didn't know what to say. From that moment, the space between them grew bigger. Benjamin started going to parties. He liked to talk and dance with younger women. He enjoyed life. But Hildegard stayed home. She looked sad and angry. People at the parties talked. They said, "What a shame. That young man is married to a woman of 45. They didn't remember that Hildegard had once looked younger than Benjamin. Benjamin felt unhappy at home. but he had many hobbies. He played golf. He learned to dance very well. Everyone in town liked his dancing. He still helped at the family business, but now his son Roscoe was ready to take over. Roscoe had finished college and was smart. People often thought Benjamin and Roscoe were brothers. Benjamin liked that. He smiled in the mirror and was happy with his young face. But there was still one problem. Hildegard was now 50, and Benjamin didn't want to go out with her anymore. When he saw her, he felt uncomfortable. Chapter 9. Back to School. In 1910, Benjamin was around 50 years old, but he looked only 20. He joined Harvard University as a student. He didn't say anything about his real age, or that his son had already studied there. Benjamin looked older than other new students, so he was quickly noticed. He played football and did very well. He scored many goals. People talked about him. He became very famous. But later, he started to lose strength. He became thinner and shorter. In his third year, he played badly. In his last year, he was very weak and didn't make the team. Some students thought he was a freshman because he looked so young. Benjamin felt bad. He didn't understand some lessons. He thought the other students were too grown up. So after he graduated, he decided to go to a new school, St. Midas, a school for younger boys. He went back home to Baltimore. Hildegard was now living in Italy. Benjamin moved in with his son Roscoe. Roscoe was kind, but not very happy to have his father around. He was now married and an important man. He didn't want people to gossip about his strange-looking father. Benjamin felt lonely. His only friends were 15-year-old boys from the neighborhood. He wanted to go to school again, like them. One day he told Roscoe, "I want to go to prep school. You've said no many times, but I still want to go." Roscoe said, "Then go." "I can't go alone," said Benjamin. "You need to take me and register me." "I don't have time," Roscoe answered. He was angry and looked at Benjamin seriously. "This joke has gone too far. You need to stop. This is not funny." Benjamin felt tears in his eyes. Roscoe added, "When people visit our house, don't call me Roscoe. Call me Uncle. You're starting to look like a little boy. It sounds strange when you call me by my name." Roscoe turned away and walked off. Chapter 10. Back to the Army. After his talk with Roscoe, Benjamin felt sad. He went upstairs and looked in the mirror. His face looked young and soft. He hadn't shaved for months. He looked like a boy now. Roscoe told him, "You should wear glasses and a fake beard." But Benjamin hated the fake beard. It made him feel silly. Benjamin started reading boys' books. One day he thought about the war. America had joined World War I. Benjamin wanted to join the army again. But the army only accepted men who were at least 16, and Benjamin looked younger than that. His real age was 57, but he didn't look it. Then, a letter came to his house. It was from the army. The letter said Benjamin was called back to service as a brigadier general. He was so happy. He ran out of the house and went to a shop to buy a new army uniform. A store worker said, "Do you want to play soldier, kid?" Benjamin got angry. "I'm not a kid. My name is Benjamin Button. I live on Mount Vernon Place. I'm a real general." The worker finally gave him the uniform. Benjamin went to the army camp in South Carolina. He paid the taxi and stood in front of the gate. "Help me with my bags," he said to a soldier. The soldier looked at him and said, "Where are you going with those clothes, little boy?" Benjamin stood straight. "I'm a real soldier," he shouted. The soldier laughed, but then a real colonel came by on a horse. Benjamin yelled, "Colonel!" The colonel stopped and asked, "Whose little boy are you?" Benjamin shouted, "I'll show you who I am. Get down from that horse." The colonel laughed. Benjamin pulled out his army paper. "Read this." The colonel read it. His eyes grew wide. "Where did you get this?" he asked. "From the government," said Benjamin. The colonel said, "Come with me. Let's talk about this." Benjamin followed the colonel to the army office, but 2 days later, something happened. His son Roscoe came from Baltimore. He was angry and hot from travel. He took Benjamin back home. Benjamin cried. He had to leave the army once again. Chapter 11. The End. In the year 1920, Roscoe's first child was born. At the party, no one said anything about the little 10-year-old boy who played with toy soldiers. That little boy was Benjamin Button, the baby's grandfather. Roscoe did not like having Benjamin around. Benjamin looked like a child, but he was actually an old man. Roscoe thought his father should act more like a serious adult, not like a little boy. 5 years later, Roscoe's child was old enough to play. Roscoe sent both boys, his son and little Benjamin, to kindergarten. Benjamin liked playing with colourful paper and toys. He cried once when he had to stand in the corner, but most of the time he was happy. After 1 year, Roscoe's son moved up to first grade, but Benjamin stayed in kindergarten. He liked it there. When the other children talked about what they would do when they grow up, Benjamin felt sad. He knew he would not grow up like them. Benjamin stayed in kindergarten for a 3rd year, but now he was too small. He didn't understand what the teacher said. He cried because the other children were bigger than him. Then Benjamin was taken out of school. He stayed home with his nurse, Nana. She was kind and always with him. She helped him dress, play, and sleep. She taught him to say the word elephant. Sometimes she let him jump on the bed, and he laughed. He liked to play with a cane and say, "Fight, fight, fight." The older ladies liked him. The younger girls tried to kiss him, but he didn't care much. At 5 o'clock each day, he went upstairs with Nana. She gave him soft food like oatmeal and fed him with a spoon. Benjamin had no bad memories. He didn't dream of college, war, or work. His past was gone. He only saw Nana, his crib, and the soft lights. He didn't remember anything else. He forgot everything. He forgot how warm the milk was or how long the days were. When he was hungry, he cried. That was all. Soon it was always dark. He didn't see the faces above him anymore, and the warm smell of milk slowly faded. Benjamin was gone. Chapter 1. The train ride begins. It was a hot summer day. A long train moved quickly through the countryside of France. The train passed red stone houses and big green palm trees. On one side of the train, the passengers could see the blue sea. On the other side, there were hills, fields of grapes, and trees. In the train, in a small salon compartment, 3 people sat together. A middle-aged American woman, a younger American woman, and her husband were traveling. They sat quietly in the heat. The windows were open, but there was no wind. The American lady pulled down the curtain. She didn't want the hot sun. The American lady smiled and held a small bird cage in her hands. Inside the cage was a small yellow bird. A canary. I bought him in Palermo, she said proudly. We only had 1 hour on land. It was Sunday. The man selling birds wanted dollars. I gave him $1.50. The canary sings very beautifully. She loved the bird. She talked about him often. The train stopped at a big station, Marseille. There was smoke in the air from many chimneys. The train stayed for 25 minutes. The American lady got out and bought a newspaper and a small bottle of water. She did not go far from the train. She was afraid the train would leave without her. She was a little deaf and didn't always hear announcements. Once in Cannes, the train left with no signal. She had just jumped on in time. Now the train started again and moved out of the city. The sky was getting dark. People were working in fields. Some were watching a fire. A small house had burned. Soldiers stood on the station platform. They were tall and wore brown uniforms. Their faces looked serious under the electric lights. The American lady looked at them, but she didn't say anything. The train kept moving. The American lady looked out the window and then turned to the young couple. "It's so hot," she said. "I didn't sleep at all last night. The train is too fast. I worry about accidents." The younger woman smiled politely but didn't say much. Her husband looked out of the window, lost in thought. That night, the porter came and made the beds. The beds pulled out from the wall. The canary was placed safely in the corridor with a cloth over the cage. The American lady lay awake, afraid of a crash. She didn't like fast trains, especially at night. Outside, everything was dark and the train moved very fast. Chapter 2. The American Lady Talks. The next morning, the sun was shining. The train was near Paris. The American lady came back from the washroom. She looked clean and fresh, even though she hadn't slept much. She carefully took the cloth off the bird cage and hung the cage near the window. The sunlight came into the salon compartment. The little yellow canary moved his wings and shook his feathers. The train was moving slower now. It would reach Paris soon. "He loves the sun," the American lady said. "He'll sing soon." The canary looked happy. He made a small sound and pecked at his feathers. "I've always loved birds," the lady said with a soft voice. "I'm taking him home to my little girl." "There, he's singing now," she said happily. The train passed through green forests and quiet towns. There were signs and big posters on the walls near the tracks. People in the towns walked to work or sat on benches. The young man, who was the narrator of this story, watched out the window and didn't say anything for a while. The American lady kept talking. She looked at the young woman. "Is your husband American too?" she asked kindly. "Yes," the young woman replied. "We're both Americans." "Oh, I thought you were English," said the American lady. "No," the man replied. "Maybe it's because of my clothes. I'm wearing braces for my trousers instead of suspenders. That might make me look English." The lady didn't hear him well. She was a little deaf. She looked at the young woman and smiled again. "I'm so glad you're Americans," she said warmly. "American men make the best husbands." That's why we left the continent. You know, my daughter fell in love with a man in Vevey." She stopped and looked serious. They were madly in love, but I took her away, of course. The young woman looked surprised. "Did she get over it?" she asked. The American lady shook her head. "I don't think so. She stopped eating. She couldn't sleep. I tried very hard to help her, but she still thinks about him. I told her, no foreigner can make an American girl a good husband." She looked out the window. The train passed through more towns. "Some people may not agree," she said, "but my friend, a very good woman, told me, only American men are the right husbands for American girls." And I believe that. The train kept moving slowly toward Paris. Chapter 3. Past Memories and Quiet Sadness. The American lady looked at the young wife's coat and smiled. "What a beautiful traveling coat," she said. "Thank you," said the young woman. "I know where that's from," the lady added. "I've bought my clothes from the same shop in the Rue Saint-Honoré for 20 years. She talked about how she ordered dresses from Paris. The shop knew her measurements, and they chose dresses she liked. Then the shop sent the clothes to New York. Everything was simple and not too expensive. The dresses never had too much gold or shine. There were only 2 women who worked at the shop in all those years," she explained. "They always knew what I liked. They even had my daughter's size, but now she is grown. Things are changing." The young man listened quietly. He looked out the window. Grass grew along the sides of the train tracks, but in many places it hadn't grown at all. There were many cars on the tracks, brown wooden restaurant cars and sleeping cars. Some were going to Italy. "Maybe they're going to Rome," the young woman said. The American lady kept talking to her. "Americans make the best husbands," she repeated. The man stood up and began to collect their bags. They were close to Paris. His wife sat quietly and smiled sometimes, but she didn't speak much now. "How long ago did you leave Vevey?" the young woman asked. 2 years ago this fall," the lady answered. "It was her, my daughter, you know. That's who I'm taking the canary to." "Was the man your daughter loved a Swiss?" "Yes," said the lady. "He came from a good family. He was going to be an engineer. They met in Vevey. They liked to walk together." "We know Vevey," the young woman said. "We were there for our honeymoon." "Really?" said the lady. "I had no idea. It's a lovely place." "Yes," said the young wife. "We stayed at the Trois Couronnes Hotel." "Oh, I know that hotel," said the American lady. "It's a very fine old place." "Yes," said the wife. "We had a lovely room, and in the fall the country was beautiful." "Were you there in the fall?" asked the lady again. "Yes," said the wife softly. Suddenly the man looked out the window and said, "Look, there's been a wreck." 3 broken train cars stood beside the tracks. The sides were torn and the roofs had fallen in. "I was afraid of that all night," the American lady said. "I didn't sleep because of it. I have strong feelings about things. I'll never ride a rapide train again at night. There must be slower trains that are safer." The train moved into the darkness of the Paris train station, Gare de Lyon. It was very dim, and porters came to the windows to help passengers. The man handed their bags through the window. The American lady found a porter from Cook's travel service and spoke to him. "Just a moment, madame," he said. "I will find your name." The young man helped with the bags. His wife stood beside him. The American lady said goodbye and smiled. Her name had been found on a paper by the man from Cook's. The couple followed the porter down the long platform. At the end, there was a gate. A man took their tickets. Chapter 4. The Truth Behind the Silence. The train ride was over. They had reached Paris. The man and his wife walked slowly behind the porter. The platform was long and quiet. The American lady went with the man from Cook's travel company. She held her birdcage carefully. The little yellow canary inside moved a little. The sun was rising and the air was cool. The young man and his wife said nothing as they walked. The city of Paris was waking up. Cars were starting to move and people were beginning their day. But for the couple, everything felt slow and heavy. The man thought about the trip. The American lady had talked so much. She believed American men were the best husbands. She believed no foreign man could love an American girl. She had taken her daughter away from the man she loved. The young man thought about his own life. He looked at his wife. She walked quietly beside him. She didn't speak. She hadn't said much for the whole trip. She had once laughed easily. She had once smiled at him often. But now she only smiled politely at strangers. Something had changed between them, but they never said it out loud. The train trip was not just a vacation. It had been something more. They had traveled to get away from problems, but problems don't go away with a train ride. As they neared the end of the platform, the man remembered the last words of the story. "We were returning to Paris to set up separate residences. It was quiet now. The American lady was gone. The train was behind them. The sound of the canary was gone too. They had come back not as one, but as two." Chapter 1. My Family and My Mother's Big Words. My name is Aileen Mavourneen. I am a dog. I want to tell you my story. My father was a big saint, Bernard dog. My mother was a collie. She was smart and kind. She always told me, "You are a Presbyterian?" I did not know what that meant, but I believed her. My mother loved big, long words. She liked to say them out loud and watch other dogs look surprised. She did not go to school, but she listened to people in the dining room and drawing room. She listened to the children talk about Sunday school. That's how she learned new words. When she heard a new word, she said it again and again until she remembered it. Then she used it in front of other dogs. They were amazed. Sometimes they even gave her treats because they thought she was so clever. Mother told me to always act smart and brave. When someone asked her the meaning of a big word, she answered quickly. She always sounded sure even if she didn't know the answer. Other dogs believed her because she spoke with confidence. One day she brought home a new word, unintellectual. She worked hard all week saying it again and again at different places. At the end of the week, another dog asked her what it meant. She said, "It means someone who does not use their mind." Everyone was very impressed. Another week she used the word synonymous. She told me, "It means one word that has the same meaning as another." I was proud of her. She loved big words and wanted to sound clever. She was the smartest dog I knew. Mother also taught me how to be good. She said, "When you are in danger, don't think of yourself. Think of others. Do the right thing even if it is hard." I never forgot her words. Chapter 2. A New Home. When I grew up, something sad happened. I was taken away from my mother and sold to a new family. I never saw her again. I was very sad. She was sad too. We cried, but she licked my face and said kind words to me. "Remember what I taught you. We are born to help others. Be brave, be kind. Don't live for yourself. Live for love and truth. That is the best life, my child." Her words stayed in my heart forever. My new home was big and beautiful. It had flowers, green grass, and tall trees. The people who lived there were called the Gray family. They were kind and loved me. They called me by the name my mother gave me, Aileen Mavourneen. There was a little girl in the family. Her name was Sadie. She was 10 years old. She had red hair and a happy smile. She loved me very much. She hugged me, played with me, and even pulled my tail sometimes. But I didn't mind. I loved her more than anything. There was also a baby. He was 1 year old, chubby and sweet. I liked watching him sleep. Mr. Gray was the father. He was a smart man who worked in a science lab. He had a serious face and used big words, just like my mother. I did not understand the words, but I knew they were important. Mrs. Gray was kind. She let me sleep in her room and even used me as a footrest. I didn't mind. I was happy to be close to them. I also made friends with the servants. They were good to me and gave me food. My life was peaceful and full of love. Later I had a puppy. It was the happiest day of my life. My little puppy was soft, tiny, and perfect. I felt proud to be a mother just like mine. I promised to teach my puppy all the good things my mother taught me. But then something terrible happened. One winter night, I was in the nursery. The baby was sleeping in his crib. I was sleeping on the bed. Suddenly, a spark from the fire flew out and landed on the baby's blanket. The fire grew fast. Flames climbed up the crib. I jumped up, barked, and ran to the baby. The fire was hot. Smoke filled the room. I grabbed the baby's clothes with my teeth and pulled. I pulled hard through the fire and out of the room. The baby was safe. I barked and ran in circles. I wanted someone to come. Finally, the master came, but he didn't understand. He thought I was bad. He shouted, "Begone, you beast!" and hit me with a stick. I cried and ran. One hit hurt my leg badly. I limped to the far end of the hall and found a place to hide in the dark. My leg was in great pain, but my heart hurt more. I had saved the baby, but no one knew. Chapter 3. The Truth is Found. I stayed hidden in the attic. I was cold and scared. My leg hurt. My heart was heavy. I thought I had done the right thing, but now I wasn't sure. I didn't understand why my master was angry. I cried quietly, remembering my mother's words. Think of others, not yourself. After some time, I heard voices. People were calling my name. Sadie's sweet voice said, "Come back, little doggy. We love you. Please forgive us." I wanted to run to her, but I was weak and afraid. I had not eaten in days. My leg was hurting more, but her voice gave me hope. I slowly walked down the stairs. Sadie saw me and cried out with joy. "She's here. She's safe." She ran to me and hugged me. Everyone came. They were so happy. Sadie's mother cried and even the servants smiled. Mr. Gray came too. He looked sad and ashamed. Then came the truth. The nurse told everyone what had happened. The fire started in the nursery. If it wasn't for the dog, the baby would have died. She pulled him out of the fire. Everyone was shocked. Mr. Gray dropped to his knees and hugged me. "You brave little dog," he said. "You saved my child." From that moment, everything changed. People from town came to see me. They called me a hero. Sadie and her mother told the story to everyone. I became famous. The family gave me soft beds, good food, and sweet kisses. They loved me more than ever. Even Sadie's friends came to hear the story. I liked hearing them say, "She's the smartest, kindest dog ever." But it wasn't just about praise. I was happy because I had done what my mother told me. I helped someone in danger. I did not think about myself. One day, Mr. Gray's friends came from the science lab. They took my puppy. They wanted to test something on him. I didn't understand what they were doing, but I saw wires and bottles. I got worried. They said the puppy was blind. They used tools and machines to test him. The puppy cried out. He was hurt. I ran to him and licked his face. I stayed close to him. Then I heard them say, "Yes, the test is complete. He is blind." Thank you, little dog. You have helped science. But I didn't care about science. I only cared about my baby. The puppy died. Chapter 4. A Goodbye and a Gentle Heart. After my puppy died, I felt broken inside. Mr. Gray asked the servant to take the little body and bury it in the far end of the garden, the place where the trees gave shade and flowers grew in the summer. That was where I used to play with Sadie, the baby, and my puppy. I followed the servants slowly. My leg was still hurt, and my heart was even more hurt. I tried to help, but I could not dig with only one good leg. I watched as they placed my puppy in the ground. The servant covered him with soil. Then he looked at me and said, "Poor little doggy, you saved his child." Tears were in his eyes. After that, I felt weaker every day. I could not eat. I could not sleep well. At night, I had strange dreams. I felt a cold fear inside me, but I didn't know what it was. Sadie came to see me. She petted me and whispered, "Don't go away, little doggy. Come back. We love you." But I felt myself fading. Sometimes the servants came at night and called me, hoping I would feel better. But I didn't. I just lay quietly and listened. I could feel their sadness. I wished I could stay longer, but I knew my time was ending. I watched the sun one last time. It was going down and the sky turned gold and red. The wind touched my face gently, like my mother once did. Then everything became quiet. A note from Sadie, many years later. "That little dog taught me more about love than any person ever did. She saved my baby brother. She gave her life for her puppy. She forgave us when we were cruel." I hope people never forget her story. We buried her beside the puppy, under the big elm tree. On her grave we wrote, "The humble little friend is gone. Where go the beasts that perish?" Chapter 1. The Kingdom of Strange Justice. A long time ago, there was a powerful king who ruled a big and rich country. He was a strong man with great energy. He loved beautiful things, but he also loved control. He was not a fair man, but not completely cruel either. He was half barbaric. That means he was part wild, part civilized. He had strange ideas about justice. When someone broke the law, he did not give a normal punishment. Instead, he built a large public arena. In this arena, a person accused of a crime would face two doors. Behind one door, there was a tiger, fierce and hungry. Behind the other, there was a lady, young, beautiful, and ready to marry. The accused would stand in front of the two doors and choose one. No one knew which was which, not even the king. If the person opened the door with the tiger, he would be eaten in front of everyone. That meant he was guilty. If he opened the door with the lady, he would marry her immediately. Even if he already had a wife or didn't love her, that meant he was innocent. To the king, this was fair. There was no trial. There were no arguments. It was all up to fate. People from all around the country came to watch these events. They loved the drama, the surprise, the sudden deaths, or quick weddings. It was entertainment. But the king saw it as justice, and so the arena became part of life in the kingdom. People feared it, but they also celebrated it. Then one day, the king faced a new problem, one that touched his heart deeply. Chapter 2. The Princess and the Young Man. The king had a daughter, the princess. She was beautiful, like a summer morning. Her hair was dark and long, and her eyes shone like stars. But she was also strong, proud, and full of passion. She was her father's child, clever, bold, and yes, half barbaric, just like him. In the royal palace, many young men worked. One of them was a handsome young man with a kind heart and brave spirit. He was not a prince. He had no title, no money, and no famous family. But he had something special, a dreamer's soul, and a smile that made people feel warm inside. The princess saw him one day in the garden. He was helping the old gardener move flowers. She looked at him. He looked at her. And in that moment, love began. They did not speak much at first. A few smiles, quiet glances, short greetings. But soon they met in secret places. They talked, laughed, and dreamed. The princess felt happy, alive, full of hope. The young man felt lucky. He loved her deeply. They were careful. No one knew, or so they thought. One day the king discovered their secret. He became very angry. His daughter, a royal princess, had fallen in love with a common man. To the king, this was not love. It was a crime. The next morning, the young man was taken by soldiers. The king ordered that he be sent to the arena. He would face the two doors just like every other man who broke the law. But this case was different. The people were surprised. "This man is not a criminal," they said. "He hurt no one." But the king was firm. "He broke the law of the crown," he said. "Let fate decide." The day of the trial was chosen, the arena was prepared, the two doors were ready. And the princess? She was broken inside. She cried in silence. She stayed up at night. She loved this man with all her heart. But she knew what would happen if he opened the wrong door. The tiger. Worse, if he opened the other door, he would marry another woman. And not just any woman. The king had chosen the most beautiful lady in the land, someone from the royal court. The princess hated her. That woman had looked at the young man before, smiled at him, and he had smiled back, just once. But it was enough to burn the princess's heart. Now the princess had a terrible decision to make. She knew she could find out what was behind each door. She had her ways. Servants talked. Gold helped. And she was smart. So she made a plan. And she found the answer. She now knew exactly which door had the tiger and which had the lady. But what would she do with that knowledge? Chapter 3. The Day of the Trial. The sun rose brightly on the day of the trial. The sky was clear and blue. People filled the streets, excited to see what would happen. It was not every day that a trial like this was held, and certainly not one involving the princess's lover. In the great arena, thousands of people gathered. They sat high in the stone seats, talking and guessing. Which door will he choose? Will he marry the lady? Or will the tiger end his life? Trumpets sounded. The doors opened. Soldiers came in. Then the young man walked into the arena. He looked straight ahead, proud and calm. He was not afraid. He stood tall like a man with nothing to hide. But in his heart, he was thinking of one person only. The princess. She sat next to her father, high above the arena, dressed in fine clothes. But her heart was not fine. It was heavy, full of fear, love, and confusion. Their eyes met. In that one look they said 1,000 words. He did not speak. She did not speak. But he knew. She had the answer. He trusted her. She loved him. He knew that. And he believed she would save him. He looked at her, waiting for a sign. The princess raised her right hand, just for a moment, very quickly. No one else saw it, but the young man saw. She pointed ever so slightly to the door on the right. There was no time to think, no time to ask questions. He trusted her completely. Without hesitation, he walked across the arena to the right door. He put his hand on the handle. The crowd was silent. You could hear the wind. You could feel the tension. The king leaned forward. The princess held her breath. And the young man opened the door. What happened next? No one knew. Chapter 4. Fire in her heart. The door opened wide, but before anything came out, the princess closed her eyes. She could not watch. In that single moment, the moment before truth, her whole soul burned inside her. She had made a choice. But now, standing there above the crowd, she asked herself, was it the right one? Let's return to the night before the trial. That night the princess sat alone. Her room was dark, and the candles burned low. She did not sleep. She walked back and forth, her heart heavy. In one hand, she held love, a deep, true love for the young man. In the other hand, she held jealousy, sharp and dangerous. She had found out what was behind each door. She knew which door hid the tiger, large, angry, hungry. She knew which door hid the lady, beautiful, graceful, ready to marry the man she loved, and the princess hated that woman. The lady had once looked at the young man with soft eyes. The young man had smiled back. It was a small thing, but to the princess it felt like a knife in her heart. She imagined them standing together, holding hands, saying vows, living a happy life, a life that should have been hers. Could she really send her lover into another woman's arms? But the other choice was cruel: the tiger, death, pain, blood. Could she really send him to die just to stop her heart from breaking? She thought all night. She cried. She whispered to herself, again and again. Finally, she made a decision, and she stood by it. In the morning, her face was calm, her body still. But her heart? It was fire. Back in the arena, she had made the signal, a soft, secret movement with her hand. She had pointed to the door on the right. Now the door stood open. The crowd leaned forward. The young man stood still. The king looked pleased. And the princess, she did not open her eyes. Chapter 5. The question with no answer. The door stood open, but the story does not tell us what came out. Not a sound, not a scream, not music, not a roar, just silence. We do not know if the lady stepped forward with a smile on her face, or if the tiger leaped out with fire in its eyes, because this is not a story with a clear ending. This is a story with a question for you. Let's look again at the princess. She was not like other girls. She was not soft and quiet. She was born in a palace of power, raised by a king who ruled with fire and fear. Her heart was wild. She loved deeply. But she could also hate deeply. She loved the young man, yes, but she hated the woman behind the other door even more. She had dreamed of marrying that man. She had held his hand in the gardens, laughed with him in the moonlight. His voice, his smile, they were hers. But now, if he opened the lady's door, he would become someone else's husband. Could her heart take that? Could she watch him smile at another woman, the woman she despised? Or was it better that no one had him? Better that he die quickly and never love another? The princess had to decide. And she did. She pointed to the right door. But what was behind it? The lady or the tiger? The king didn't know. The crowd didn't know. Even the young man didn't know until that last moment. And now the writer asks you, what do you think? Was the princess's love stronger than her jealousy? Or was her jealousy stronger than her love? Only you can decide. And maybe that is the true beauty of the story.